Hi, employees of Sister Missionary Mall. Today we're going to just cover a little bit about shoes and the best ways to approach a sale of a shoe to a sister. There's a few points that you want to remember. I like to think a lot of times when sisters are called, they immediately think about what outfits they're going to take with them. But if you have served a mission, you understand the importance of getting a good pair of missionary shoes. Really, the most important part of your mission wardrobe are your shoes that you take with you. So we should start our sale with talking to sisters about what shoes would be appropriate for their mission. Something else that's really important, at this point you should already have a pair of shoes from the store. It's important for you to wear those shoes and to really kind of gain your own testimony, if you will, about the shoes and why they would be a good fit for sisters out in the mission. A lot of times sisters are really concerned about the style of a shoe and less about the function and the practicality of it out in the mission field. But if you can offer your own testimonial of why the shoe would be good, it's really convincing to the people who are shopping for shoes. So if you don't necessarily have a testimony of the shoes at this point, ask your coworkers, get some advice from them, or have them share some stories. And so I'm just going to share my personal experience with shoes. When I came and shopped at the store, before I served my mission, no one really talked to me about the shoes. They just kind of did a once over like this at the wall and said, and here's the shoes, and they're great, and you should take them. Well, me, being so concerned about the way that I looked, took a look at the shoes and went, there's no way I'm wearing these things. They are hideous, and I'm more concerned about the way that I look out there. So I ended up walking over to the clearance table and walked out with some good shoes still, since we only carry higher quality shoes. But I wish someone would have explained to me why Danskos are phenomenal shoes. At the time when I shopped, we didn't have Propé, we didn't have Earth Shoe, we didn't have Naturalizer. There was Hush Puppies, Borns, and Danskos. And I walked out with a pair of Hush Puppies and Borns. And they lasted okay, but it would have been better where I served to have a pair of Danskos. So I wish someone would have talked to me about that. Once I came to work here, we were required to wear a pair of Danskos. And so I picked the cutest pair I could find and went a size down from what they suggested because I was still in the mindset of finding the cutest shoe to wear. So I picked that shoe, and within my first shift, like 3 hours into my shift, I was dying. My feet were killing me, and they were throbbing so bad I could hardly get my shoes off at the end of the shift. So I ended up selling those shoes and getting the size that they recommended, and my back was better. I have low back pain all the time. My back was better, my joints were all better, I didn't have any knee pain, my feet didn't hurt at the end of my shift. It was beautiful. So I've really learned that if I went out to serve with one of these sisters again, hands down, I would buy a Dansko. But Dansko is not a brand that people just immediately see and want in their wardrobe. You have to know the facts about it, and you have to convince them of it. So when you first bring a sister back to purchase a shoe, what I like to do is to just come back and just show them all of the options that they have. Girls like options, right? So I like to come back and ask them, feel free to look around and pick out any shoes that you would like to try on. Then I give them a few seconds to look at the shoes, and after a few seconds I will ask them, do you mind if I pick a few shoes that I think would be perfect for your mission that you're going to? I have never had a sister missionary tell me no if I ask that question. And that gives you an opportunity to get a higher end shoe that maybe aesthetically isn't as pleasing to look at, but will function better for them in the mission. Also, if you can get them into one of the Danskos or into one of the nicer Earth shoes, they will feel a difference in the support. But a lot of times, sisters won't just go and pick that shoe for them to try on themselves. So at that point, I would go back and get the shoes that they were interested in, and then I would go back and pick a few of the other shoes while they're trying on those shoes that I would suggest and bring them out and rotate them in between the ones that they wanted to pick for themselves. This gives you an opportunity to just kind of talk a little bit about the product without seeming too pushy, but also gives them a good side-by-side comparison with comfort. And that will help you a lot with your sale, but also really help the sister get something that's going to help them the most out in the field, which is why we're here. it's important for us to be able to kind of create that need and explain to sisters what they need, because sometimes they don't really understand their true needs. And then to be able to fill that need immediately with the product that we have in the store. Once a sister has decided what shoe she wants to try, you're going to want to grab the Brannock device and to measure her foot. The Brannock device will measure the length, the width, and the arch length of the foot. A lot of our shoes come in European sizes, and a lot of sisters have never had a shoe in a European size before. So even if they tell you, oh, I'm always a 7.5, you're going to want to grab the Brannock device and make sure you measure their foot. So on the Brannock device, you have obviously labeled the right heel and the left heel. Make sure that you put the right foot in there or it's going to be really tricky. And then this spot right here measures the arch length, and this spot moves to measure the width of the foot. So this is Kristen's left foot, and so we're going to go ahead and measure down to the tip of the foot and the longest point. And so she's right over the 8 line, so I would measure her as an 8.5 with length. Then you're going to go ahead and slide this in for width, and this has little lines on this side of the length numbers, and so you're going to come over and find 8.5, and then there's other like ways to label width, and it's always in letters, so it's A, B, C, D, E, and 2A, 3A, 4A. So the more A's you get, the more narrow it is, and if you go up further in the alphabet, the more wide it is. So she's an 8.5. She measures an A in width, so she's slightly narrow in this foot. And then you're going to take your hand and feel down on till you feel like the high bone in her foot right here, usually above the large toe. And you're going to line up this metal ridge here to measure her arch. And so her arch is measuring a 10. So in a European size, you're going to want to put her in a 40. Okay, so now we're going to measure her right foot. And if you look with her right foot is a little bit bigger than her left foot was. And so I would measure her a 9 with her right foot. And then her right foot length is, or width, I'm sorry, is actually more average than her left is. It's at a B. And then you're going to feel for that bone again. And she's right at a 10. So I would definitely put her in a size 40 for a European size. It's important to understand the difference between an American fit and a European fit. So with an American fit, we're used to having the toe and the heel of our foot be hugged by the shoe. But in a European fit, the focus is going to be on the arch of the foot. And you want to make sure that the customer can feel their arch being cradled by the arch support in the shoe. And you'll notice on Kristen that her heels have enough room to slip up and down as she's walking. So you don't want to have the shoe rub if it's really tight and still slip, if that makes sense, because that's going to cause blisters. But when it's loose enough like this, the heel will actually move up and down and not cause any blisters or rubbing on the foot. A lot of girls are kind of iffy on this at first, but after like 2 weeks of wearing a Dansko shoe, you get used to the way that it feels, and it's really hard to go back to other shoes because of the comfort level. Also, with a European fit, you want to make sure that they have plenty of room for the toes to wiggle freely, and her toes should not be rubbing or pushing up against any part of the foot or of the shoe. Your toes should be touching your foot, just to clarify. But also with the European fit, because it's so loose fitting, it's really nice to have one of the shoes that does have the strap. So a lot of times we have the Mary Jane styles of the Dansko because it's going to feel more comfortable in the long run. Okay, so just for some learning purposes, we went ahead and we put Kristen in the size down. So this is a 39. And she still seems to have plenty of room in the heel. And she said that the arch actually fits her pretty good. But she said that is it your left foot? That the toes are rubbing in the front. And so that's something where you definitely don't want the toes to rub. Missionaries especially have a huge problem with ingrown toenails in the mission, just because your toe is making impact a lot of times with your shoe as you're walking. So that's another reason why European fit is a little bit better, because then you're less prone to have infections like that in your foot, because you want to make sure that you have enough room around your toe for comfortable movement. I can't wait to see these. Are we going?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So that's it for shoe training. congratulations, you made it through it. Hopefully you can remember a lot of this information and help the customers. The more information that you have, the more help that you're going to be to the customers that come into the store. Just a couple other pointers that I want to share. Unfortunately, you are going to deal with a lot of princesses when they come in. I was a princess, so I can say that. But there's a lot of girls who really don't care about the feel of the shoe, and they care only about the way that it looks on their foot and if it's going to make them a frumpy sister or not. So my advice to you is be upfront, have all the information that you can in your head so that you can help them, and be super honest with them. Sometimes I'll tell them, I'm going to talk to you like a big sister. If you were my little sister, I would tell you straight up, don't take that shoe with you. I also like to say things that are true, like, well, once you've been in the mission for a transfer or two, you realize that you don't care so much if your shoe has a little bow detail on it. You care if it's comfortable at the end of the day, if you're able to make it to that last appointment, that you're exhausted and you really don't feel like going to that appointment and your feet hurt. If you're that way, you're not going to go to that appointment. So just be upfront and honest, and sisters will feel your sincerity, and then you can help them get the best fit for their mission. So good luck, and namaste.